um, Thanks for staying in the stream. I'm finally live. Took a while to sort out the technical difficulties of live streaming. The irony of being a filmmaker who can't even live stream. Well, there you go. So I had to fix some permissions on my laptop, and I managed to get the web camera up and going. Yeah, I'm just going to go through some questions I got and some comments. And if there's any questions that you have regarding the film that I made, you can write them in the comments, and I'll attempt the best I can to answer. I hope you're hearing me loud and clear. If not, then also let me know if there's any issues with the sound in the chat. So yeah, let's see. Let's go. Good. Anyway, thanks for watching. Yeah, I have one of the questions I get a lot is, will I make more videos on the Viking age? And well, this film has been quite a monumental undertaking for my budget of time, and I feel like the Viking Age. There's so much to go through in the Viking period that it's not a topic I'm going to go after in the near future, to put it like that. Because it just requires so much effort to. Obviously, there's a lot of experts in the field. It's a very well studied field. The Viking period in Scandinavia. I can imagine there's a lot of PhDs and people with a lot of knowledge out there. And in addition to the more traditional craftsmanship and all that stuff that survives from the period that we've seen in the film, there's so much knowledge out there. There's so much stuff that we're only just beginning to grasp at, and I'm only grasping at in this film. This is not a comprehensive look at the Viking period, and it's not a comprehensive even look at the Viking ship. It's basically a collection of my thoughts regarding the Viking ship and where it came from and what's the future of the Viking ship. I think it's important to have some kind of clue as to where the craft, the clinker built ship, where it's going in the future. Because if it doesn't survive the time, if the craft doesn't survive, we won't know much about it in the future, as we lose the old ships. We'll also lose the knowledge of how to make new ones, and eventually that all will disappear. So we're at a critical point, I think, in our culture, where we need to look at that and how to preserve these crafts. And the same goes for preserving the stave churches and all the other sort of medieval things that we have from this period. That's kind of like almost like the reason I also started this channel. I wanted to look at history's connection with crafts and things that are still with us today. Yeah, it's a lot of Torbjörn. It's a lot of years in history to cover. I try to cover I try to give it a timeline. So when I go through the history of the ancestors of the Viking ship, I try to go through starting in the early Iron Age and going through the centuries, starting and going through these different ships that they found. I try to give the viewers some, because it becomes very messy after a while when you're studying these ships and where they came from, and how you also have the preservation history, and you also have so it's a lot of things to keep in mind when you look at these ships. You can't only just look at its place in the Viking society. You need to almost like look at where is it today, and where is it going in the future? Where is it being? How is it being preserved? I mean, are there any reconstructions being made? What have they found out about the ship? So it's a very fascinating topic to cover, but it's a very difficult one. So I think in the future, obviously, I'll be looking at other periods as well. I think to give you something else, because I think there is much more to cover in Scandinavian prehistory apart from the Vikings. And as you might guess from the video, I have a particular interest in the early Iron Age. So that's really cool. Thanks, Dolly. Yeah, I try to. The comment is that I love seeing you interview people with knowledge on the subject. It's not something I come across often on a platform like YouTube. No, I mean I try to talk to people in the field who are experts. If they want to talk to me, I try to talk to them. I reach out to, I send emails, and I try and get people to say something, because I feel like me as a filmmaker, I don't have the depth of knowledge to give. I can try and put together a story and a narrative, but I can't really give you the depth of knowledge that these experts can provide. And I also try and give a varied, nuanced look. So you don't only get the expert or the academic, you also get the craftsperson as well. So I think because those, you need that interplay. And I did the same with the Stave Churches film I made, and I try to show you some different points of view, because the academics, they tend to sanitize and almost like make the past into their own academic field to play with. And whereas the craftsperson is often not so well articulate in the sort of very verbose language of how to describe the past, but they're at the same time, they have this sort of intuitive understanding of something historical, crafts or an object or something they're working on, that I find fascinating. So I find both, but I really you need academics, and you really need that academic field of research to understand these subjects. I mean, there's some amazing books and theses out there, so you need both things. Let's see. Why so long between the videos? Yeah, somebody asked me that, and well, the thing is that over the years, there's real life gets in the way of real life gets in the way of filmmaking, and when you have a full-time job and you become a father, it's you really find out that really when I was messing about and just starting out this channel and filming, or going around locations and filming. Wow, that was really a luxury. Now I really have to plan these trips, and I really have to plan where I spend my time, because if I just go around and just film whatever, I'll end up with lots of footage, and I'll just be too whimsical, and I'll spoil all the time I have. And to be honest, most of my time making these films is spent in the editing. So that's why I spend just a lot of time in the editing, and just that's why it takes so long. And obviously the research has to be pretty sound as well. I tried to do the proper research on this one, and it's, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff I read. So I hope it all went into the video, and I hope you all kind of got the gist of it. And for those who know the subject very well and well versed in Viking history, I hope for you as well that there is something interesting in this video. But primarily my audience is obviously people who have an interest in it, but maybe don't know that much about it. So that's where I'm sort of at. Yeah, Dolly, I do have a video on the early Iron Age. I do have one on the Tollen Man. which you might want to check out. But that is definitely, the bog bodies is one of the top things that I've been interested in, as in terms of archaeology, and just in the terms of this sort of the mystery of it, I suppose. It's really, because it's like almost like a murder mystery at the same, or sort of, it's a ritual murder or whatever, but it's some kind of, somebody's been killed and you have to figure out why, and and that murder is like it's 2,000 years old. So arriving at the crime scene 2,000 years too late, that sort of thing, and that fascinates me because I like that sort of mystery. So maybe there'll be another video on that topic in the future. But yeah, check that out if you have time, and my other videos as well, if you're interested in this sort of angle. I particularly, the Stave Church film, I think particularly, is probably closest to this film in terms of scope and ambition. So yeah, but yeah, the early Iron Age is, as I mentioned, it's a favorite topic of mine. So that is where, if I make another sort of history film, probably I'll be headed if I can't find something more interesting in the more recent events, such as World War II as well. I do make World War II content as well, and that's probably been like my most viewed video, has been the World War II video. So I do feel like I have a certain obligation to carry on making some of that, because there's a lot of stories from that period as well that remains untold. What projects do I have planned in the future? Well, this is, like I mentioned, I will be making more probably videos on the Nordic prehistory. The time preceding the Vikings, that I feel like needs more attention. But coming up for me personally is a small project that I've been working on for a while now, that I'm going to release videos on this channel more frequently, which is going to be called Northern Journeys. And Northern Journeys is essentially like little tidbits of local history. So this is not going to be the history of sort of grand scale history of of Vikings, of medieval Norway. It's not going to be that sort of grand scale history video. It's just going to be a little, a little piece of local history, like a small ruin somewhere, a place, a historical place that is well known for something, maybe some petroglyphs. You mentioned Helleristninger on Bornholm. Yeah, like things like that. Just smaller cultural or sort of historical or archaeological finds and contexts. Yeah, I agree. It doesn't need to be, history doesn't need to be like super zoomed out to be interesting. Like it could just be a single event. And to be honest, like my World War II video sprang out of really just wishing to chronicle a single event during the end of the war. But these videos that I make here are just going to be much shorter, and it's going to be called Northern Journeys. So it's going to be following me on a trip to that place where I talk about the ruin or the monument or the thing that took place. And this is essentially for me, in order to have some content to show to you guys in between making bigger films, that you see, so you can see what I'm doing, what I'm working on. And yeah, I really hope to get those out soon. I'll be doing a fair bit of walking this summer, so I'll be bringing my camera and and doing some filming. So yeah, I look forward to showing it to you guys, and I hope you guys stay tuned for that and follow my channel. Let's see, Ellingpigen, the Elling girl would be an interesting bug body to look at as well. She was surprisingly intact with hair and clothes. Yeah, I read about her, and I looked at the clothes and the hair, and I looked at. I think I know what you're talking about. And I looked at some. There was a sort of reconstruction, or a reenactor wearing something similar to show us. I mean, it just blows your mind away to just sort of realize what the people in the Iron Age, early Iron Age, were wearing for clothes. I mean, you just get a unique glimpse, or earlier, you get an unique glimpse of people, what people were wearing. I mean, that's their culture, what they're wearing. That's really interesting. So, yeah, I look forward to doing more research, reading more about bog bodies, because I really loved making that video about bug bodies. So you should check that out after you've been on this live stream, Dolly. Let's see. Yeah, World War II. I got an email about World War II, and I am going to follow. I mean, that's on my books as well. I'm going to follow up with a video on the end of the war in Norway and the period after the war. And this is inspired by a book I read, which really left its marks in my, in my understanding of the war. So I'm going to be looking at that, and looking at the whole trial of the traitors, of people who sided with the Nazis during the war. Yeah, because it just reveals such a dark underside of the whole very black and white image we have of the war, and just and also some of these people were really messed up. So I feel like a film about some of these personalities should be made, because I think that whole process really got showed away after the war, and people didn't really talk about it. But potentially putting my hand into a nest of bees there, but I feel like it needs to be done. Something needs to be done about that process, and yeah. Thanks for letting me know about the Living History museums. Yeah, I'll be checking those. I actually plan on going to Denmark for a long time, and I think definitely, this year it's going to be more of a Norway trip for me. But next year, there's the potential for going to Denmark, and I'm going to try and visit as many of these museums and archaeological sites. I feel like Denmark is the country to be in Scandinavia if you love archaeology. And so I need to really make a trip like I made to Iceland, to film some and to kind of soak up the landscape, because really that's what a huge part of my films is, the landscape. I try to weave the landscape of Scandinavia and the Nordic countries into my films, because I feel like the landscape plays such a huge role in the shaping of Scandinavian history. I feel like the landscape plays such a huge role as a character almost. So ultimately, that's what I do. I mean, that's why I love history, and that's why I love filmmaking, because I feel like those two combined allow me to travel to places and absorb information and the landscape, and meet the people who are somehow connected to this history. So yeah, I mean, thanks all for for coming to this little chat, and thanks for all the questions that you sent me or asked me over the years. And I do try and answer. I can't read all the comments all the time. I think I pretty much read most, though. Some videos tend to blow up, and then I can't read all the comments. But in most of the sort of smaller scale videos, I try to answer each of the comments that I find are interesting or should be answered. Or if you have critique as well, I mean, I'm open for critique, and I'm open that I make mistakes in my videos as well. At the end of the day, it's my interpretation of history, and I'm not a PhD. I'm a filmmaker, so I try to make that pretty clear as well, so that make your own research. But I hope that these videos give you a fascination and a inspiration, mostly to start learning on your own and to seek out more pieces of history. Okay, thanks, Dolly. Thanks for the awesome video and all the answers. Thank you, and yeah, as I said, please check out my other videos if you haven't already. They cover just a vast range of topics. And yeah, I'll hopefully see you in the next Northern Journeys video. And then as time passes, I'll let you know what the topic of the next sort of proper Northern history film will be. Take care, everyone, and goodbye. I'll see you in the next one. Adieu. Goodbye.